Welcome to the second lesson. In this, we will be talking about fundamentals of Agile project management. Outline of this session is, we will start with the definition of a project, and then we will cover what is project management. And then we will see what is a traditional approach, which is a waterfall approach. Afterwards, we'll see what was the crisis in 1990, which brought into existing another project management approach, which is called Agile project management approach. So we'll discuss origin of project management approach, Agile project management approach, and then we'll see different types of works, knowledge works and industrial works, and different types of approaches which are required for knowledge works and industrial works. And we will see what's the difference between traditional project management approaches and agile project management approaches. To start with, let's start our discussion with the definition of a project. According to PMBOK Guide, Project Management Body of Knowledge, 6th edition, a project is defined as a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So if we see, if something to be categorized as a project, it should have two features. First, it should be temporary. By temporary, it means that it should be time-bound. Like it should have a start date and it should have an end date. And second thing, something unique should be produced. Unique means something which had never happened before. Something which is being done for the first time. Something which is being produced for the first time. Something which has, for example, construction of a building. So construction of a building is an example of a project, because at the end of this, you'll get a unique building, which is time bound, which has a specific timeline, like it has a start date and it has an end date. There's another type of activity which is continuous in nature. So we're not discussing something which is continuous in nature. We're talking about project which is temporary. And temporary, it has a start date and end date. And second, it's something unique will be produced at the end of this. Construction of a building is an example of a project. Development of a software is also an example of a project. Because here, what happens at the end of development process, we get a unique product in the form of a software, and it is also time bound. Software development has a start date and it would end on a specific date. After that, we will have a product. The third example of a project could be development of COVID-19 vaccine or any vaccine. Development of COVID-19 vaccination. This is also an example of a project. So these are different examples of projects concerning different industries. Two important things which should be there to characterize something as a project. First, it should be temporary. And second, something should produce unique product, service, or result. With this definition of a project, let's define what is project management. Project management is the application of processes, methods, skills, knowledge, and experience to achieve specific project objectives. So it's the application of knowledge to achieve specific project objectives. Project objectives are mentioned in the form of a triangle, which is called triple constraints of project management. These triple constraints, first is project scope, or the work that you need to perform. Second, project budget or cost. And third, project schedule or project or time. So these are triple constraints which should be met in order to consider a project successful. So after the Industrial Revolution, most of the projects were relevant to industrial work. I'll be talking about the difference between industrial work and other types of work in coming slides. But here, for the sake of understanding, industrial work is the one which is tangible in nature, like construction projects, like manufacturing of something, auto manufacturing, manufacturing of engines. So these are industrial products. So the nature of industrial product was that scope of work was very defined. Scope of work was defined during the initial stages. According to the specified scope of work or fixed scope of work, schedule and cost were estimated. Schedule and budget were estimated. However, with the passage of time, revolution in information technology and computer industry brought rigorous changes in the project management industry. So what happens, we call it as application development crisis in 1990. In the 90s, a troubling pattern emerged. Whenever a client ordered software based on an identified business need, developers required an average of 3 years to deliver the finished product. At the time, this time frame became known as the application development crisis or application delivery lag. In the early days, the 3 year waiting period was not an issue, considering computers were very expensive and yearly upgrades on hardware and software were still unheard of. In the highly specialized industries such as aerospace and defense, hardware and software systems often feature design developed a decade or more prior. The waiting period developed into a full-blown crisis when businesses started moving faster in the 90s. The 3 year software development period was just not compatible with increasingly agile entities. So rapid pace of innovation in IT industry was not aligned, was not consistent with the 3 years waiting time. Many projects had to be scrapped halfway through the development process as they had become obsolete. Very, very important thing. For example, when you initiate a project, let's suppose you initiate a project in 1993 and it would take 3 years to complete 1996. Let's suppose this is the project duration. So what happens due to rapid pace of innovation in IT industry in 1994 or mid of 1994 or 1995, requirements got changed. As requirements got changed, the projects become redundant. When projects become redundant, the project has to be terminated halfway. So that was the problem, which is called application development crisis. So meanwhile, industries such as automotive and telecommunication saw technological advancement in their fields that enabled them to build better product and deliver them to market faster. So many projects had to be scrapped halfway through the development process as they had become obsolete. In some cases, developers delivered programs to the client who had not or could not find any use for them anymore. So this redundancy or termination of projects just because of the fact that due to changing needs of the industry and clients, the developers did not have capacity to adapt themselves according to the needs of the industry. That's why there was a need of some different approach that could help fulfill the need. So based on this problem, there was a need of a flexible approach that could incorporate changes and adapt itself according to the changing demands of the customer.